Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here with you. Welcome. I'm Gabriela Cubeiro, the co-founder and CEO of CASEpeer. We're the highest rated case management software designed specifically for personal injury law firms. I'm really excited to be here with you all today and run through the top 5 features of CASEpeer loved by our personal injury firms. So, hey, take a moment over there to find the comments and polls tab off to the right. I'll be keeping an eye on there with questions and answering them towards the end of the webinar. So I wanted to share with you a little bit before we get started why we founded CASEpeer. So we really founded it with the vision that every personal injury law firm could maximize its human potential and for every injured client to receive exceptional care and the best possible results. And I know for all of you here, that's why you started your firms, right? Wanting to make sure that injured clients get the representation and service that they deserve. So today you're going to see how that's inspired our technology, and I'm really excited to do that with you all. So here are the top 5 features that our clients love in CASEpeer: client texting, medical treatment tracking, statute notifications, our high value cases report, and negotiations tracking. So let's go ahead and dive in. Love seeing where you guys are all joining us all over the nation. That's very cool. All right, client texting. So in CASEpeer, you can communicate with clients seamlessly with text messaging. It's a really fast setup. So you just pick a number for your firm when you get started in CASEpeer, and then on each client you go in and you opt them into the client texting. It's great for status updates and reminders to your clients. And if a client texts a photo or a lead texts a photo of their bumper or maybe the area where they slipped and fell or photos of injuries, they'll save automatically into the case. Okay. And you can even text contracts for signatures. So if you're on the phone with a lead, you can send over your CFA and they can take a look at it, sign it while they have you on the phone. And again, that'll save automatically to their file once it's done. And you can also send over client intake forms. We know that, a lot of times there's a lot of information to gather from clients. And these days, a lot of clients don't even have a computer. Maybe they just have an iPad. But most of us these days do everything off of our phones. And that's why client texting is so important. 90% of texts are read within 3 minutes of being received. I still get a lot of emails, but I can guarantee I read my text messages a lot sooner than I get to all of my emails. I'm sure it's the same for most of us, right? The piece of data I love, though, is that 45% of texts receive a response. So it's a stress for a lot of paralegals, a lot of legal assistants, attorneys. You email a client or even you call them, you leave them a voicemail, they're at work, they can't get back to you until after hours. Imagine if you could text with that client without handing out your personal cell phone number, right? That's really important. We want to protect your privacy, save you from those 2 a.m. calls. But at the same time, you can get their responses and then have, of course, a preserved chat history with that client. That's also really important. And then the other piece of data that's really cool too is that the average response time for a text is about 90 seconds. So you're not waiting days or weeks for those responses too, which is really cool. Now, sometimes when I'm talking to people about this feature, they'll say, oh, but I've got a lot of older clients. I don't know if they're going to be as interested in texting with us. And the reality is that for people between the ages of 50 and 69 now, text messaging has actually overtaken email as the communication tool most used to stay in touch. So I don't think it's just for the young, but what I will tell you, the young, they're probably not picking up the phone. There's all kinds of statistics that say that people under the age of 25, they're not comfortable having conversations on the phone anymore. So you want to make sure that your firm's equipped for texting. Quick shout out here to CASEpeer is that all this goodness is free with every CASEpeer account. So there's no add-on cost to our two-way texting functionality. All right, so the next feature I want to highlight is our medical treatment tracking. Okay, so in CASEpeer, Again, because we're designed specifically for personal injury firms and managing personal injury cases, med mal, anything like single event injury cases, mass torts, we have very comprehensive health provider data and medical treatment tracking and injury tracking for your clients. So not only can you easily track every treatment provider on the case, of course, you can automatically generate letters to those providers. So if you have a medical records request, with a click of a button, it populates with all the data within CASEpeer on that health provider or regarding that client and triggers that request. Right? So if you're right now using a case management system for your firm that's not specific to PI, maybe you've built out a lot of custom fields within that system to track it. Maybe you're still using an Excel sheet or a Word document. I'm telling you, there's a whole world out there that would make your life easier. Another important part of our medical treatment tracking is the billing information. So in CASEpeer, we're tracking original bill, how much the insurance paid, if the client paid anything out of pocket. We have fields out of the box for you to have all these fields in there. Again, you can pull those into template documents. But most importantly, when you're paying out the case, you're not going to accidentally miss a doctor or miss an important lien that needs to be paid out. And actually, when it comes to lien reductions, we have a lien reduction calculator, and it'll automatically populate that remaining amount due so that you can then use our pro rata and figure out how you want to best disperse funds when the case wraps. And another component of that is that we're tracking your contact history for those providers. So what exactly does that mean? So in CASEpeer, if you have lien reductions and you finalize those, next time you have a provider on a case where you have some reduction history, you're going to have that at your fingertips, and it's going to completely transform the way that you're negotiating with those providers and advocating for your client to get more money in their pocket. And so why is it so important for us to, whoops, I hopped ahead here. So why track medical treatment in your case management system? Again, I get this question a lot, like, hey, my system's working for me. I haven't missed a bill before, or it works. But the reason medical treatment tracking is so important for personal injury firms is that it is the most important metric for driving case value, right? And I'll tease a little bit of our number 4. It's going to feed into your high value cases report, right? If there's high bills, if there's good bills, like, this is a case that you need to keep watching. It's also a lot easier to add and update information. So a lifetime ago, when I was doing case management, we had a cover sheet on the paper file with all the doctors listed. I'm sure many of you who've been in the business long enough probably remember this. And anytime there was an update to the bill, because maybe we checked in halfway through to track billing, so I'd have to go in and white it out and wait for it to dry and then handwrite over it. Or a lot of people have that in a Word document, and it's prone to error, right? It's prone to not having the most up-to-date information. And thinking back, it was probably really easy for things to slip through the cracks. The other component of it that's really cool is that having it within a case management system designed to capture this information is that it streamlines follow-up for records and billing requests. That's an unbelievable headache for firms, right? It delays demands and negotiations if you don't get bills and records in on time, and it strains your firm's resources. And it doesn't have to be like that. So actually, this is a feature that people in CASEpeer love. And it's a place where you can track all of your pending records and billing requests. So here at a glance, the total request for your firm or your case manager or assistant can go in there and filter by just their cases. And it streamlines follow-up because you can come in here and filter by medical provider in the report. And now you can actually follow up on 6 clients at once, what may have originally been 6 different calls, right? Because you didn't have a view like this and you were looking at things case by case. So this is the wrap on medical treatment. And my third favorite feature here for beloved by our personal injury attorneys is our statute notifications. Let's see. So our statute notifications are automated statute deadlines and built-in reminders. So a lot of times personal injury law firms will get started with a case management system. And the first thing they start to think about is, okay, how am I going to know what the statute of limitations is on this case, right? How am I going to know where to follow up? So here with CASEpeer, as you put in information on clients within their cases, it will start to automatically suggest the statute date and automatically accommodate the deadlines off of that date. We're looking at the state of incident, the type of the case, the client's age, are they a minor, right? And of course, the defendant type. Is it a public entity? Is it a federal government entity? Is there something here that might change that statute from your state's typical default, right? A key component of it too are those automated notifications I teased, right? So in some case management systems, you might put in your statute date, and then you've got to go in there and say, hey, I want you to tell me 3 days before, and it'd be nice to know 6 months before so that I can send drop letters if it's a case we don't want to take to trial. So CASEpeer automatically comes pre-populated with all of those reminders, and it will send a daily upcoming statute digest right to your message center, and you can opt in to get those to your email as well. And of course, your statute of notification deadlines will show up on your calendar, which you can push out to your outside calendar of choice. Another component of this is setting your custom deadlines. So maybe you've got like a birth injury defect. A lot of times in a lot of states, those statute of limitations change. So there is a default, but depending on the circumstances of the case or when that defect was identified, the statute might shift. So in those cases, at 30 days in, you're notified to say, hey, you've had this case for 30 days. Please review the statute of notifications, and you can go in there and set a custom date, again, if it's different from the CASEpeer suggested deadline. So why do firms love this? I mean, listen, it goes without saying that our goal is that you're never going to miss a deadline, right? And I know that's your goal too. And it takes the stress out of it. I know for every great attorney and every great paralegal, statute of limitations keep you up at night, unless you're the firm that files the second you get a case, which in that, alternative, that's a wonderful scenario to be in. But most of the time, it's an area of a lot of stress for firms. The other component of this is that it creates accountability across your attorneys and staff. So statute notifications in CASEpeer will go to everybody who's assigned to the case. So it's not just saying, hey, my paralegal dropped the ball, because that attorney saw that update as well, right? So for those of you joining us, if any of you are paralegals and you feel like the brunt of this goes to you, at the end of the day, it's the attorney's reputation and license on the line. We want everyone at the firm to take ownership over those statutes and making sure that nothing slips through the cracks. And the other piece is that it's ready to use on day one, no setup reminder. And that goes from the notifications that are daily in the last week to the one that shows up at 6 months, to 3 months, 45 days, 30 days. We want to make sure, again, that nothing slips through the cracks and that we start giving you a heads up early enough so that you can make strategic decisions about what cases you want to file on. And a little preview here of what that notification might look like. Imagine if you woke up every morning to this message in your inbox. I bet we'd all sleep better at night. And I love those answers you guys are putting into chat. One of the questions we're wondering is, what's the biggest challenge that your firm faces in 2022? We want to make sure we're addressing those. So please, if you'd like to share, would love to see what you have to say over in the chat. So the fourth favorite feature is our high value cases report, which I actually teased a little bit earlier. So our high value cases report is something that automatically populates with cases that CASEpeer intelligently identifies as potentially having the highest value to your firm. How many times have you had a promising case that didn't get flagged early enough, and maybe the client then inadvertently had a massive treatment gap, or they undertreated? This happens every single day in law firms all across the country, and certainly it happens more at high volume firms, but even at the small boutique law firms, I hear this all the time from people. So this is stating the obvious, but I'm going to tell you right now that your current software or current platform, whatever you're using right now to manage your cases, it doesn't have all of the fields that CASEpeer does that can power a report like this. Unless you're doing in-depth case reviews every week, you're probably leaving money on the table. And you might say, well, I do case reviews every week, but do you have all the information at your fingertips to make those reviews really meaningful? The reality is that if you're leaving money on the table, it's not the best scenario for you, your firm, and it's not the best scenario for your clients. And I know you all know that. So it's essential to identify those potential high value cases early, so you can manage them effectively, right? And communicate effectively to your clients about how to best advocate for them. So let's take a look a little bit of whether you're making the most of your cases now, right? So I always ask, hey, can you take a list of your cases and filter them by your policy limits? Can you filter and sort those cases by total medical bills? Maybe your expenses too. That's a cool feature. Or can you filter and sort your cases by an estimated case value? Maybe later track how you've performed against that case value. These are the kinds of things that you should be able to do in a practice management system. So I know all of you here think about the value of your cases, but it's typically just a manual process. And sometimes it's very dependent on great case managers and paralegals. And our firms really love that CASEpeer flags potentially high value cases automatically and intelligently. So let's talk about the fifth favorite feature, negotiations tracking. This might be in settlement, but of course also if you're in mediation or arbitration or litigation, right? It's still a negotiation that you're having. So in CASEpeer, our tools are absolutely unrivaled for tracking negotiations and maximizing those results. So in CASEpeer, you can go in and add demands, track their status, and of course, log offers. You will see notifications before and when your demands expire, making sure that the minute that that deadline is coming up, your attorneys are on top of it, or you're on top of it. It's also a great tool for accountability and transparency. Sometimes people will walk into their attorney's office or a junior attorney's office and say, hey, what's going on? And, there's a stack maybe of paper files, or, in a better world, at least, hopefully there's a list of cases somewhere digitally that's demanded or where active negotiations are happening. But you don't have insight across a firm of what kind of offers are on the table and what might be pending. And the other component that's absolutely amazing is our adjuster, defense attorney, and insurance contact history. So just like I talked about on medical treatment tracking, our second favorite feature is we're tracking your performance with these contacts. You can see all the different cases you've had with a certain adjuster, all the cases you've had with a certain insurance company or defense attorney, and then see how those cases performed. Maybe your colleague went in and added some notes on making it easier for you to relate to that adjuster during a difficult conversation, or at the very least, you can see that performance and try to outdo it on the next case. So this is our settlement management screen, and this is where it aggregates all of the pending demands and offers and checks coming in the mail across your firm. And of course, we have a lot of sophisticated permission settings. So people can go in there and an attorney might just see their own cases and negotiating off of those. But anyone here that's a firm owner or administrator or manager that's overseeing the work of different people, you can come in here, filter, and see their performance. So for example, here, I'll give you some insight. Many of you might have goals for your attorneys, your office locations, or individual teams. Some of you probably pay attorneys a percentage of fees that they bring into the firm. And CASEpeer makes tracking that performance easy for you, easy for them, and it keeps everyone on track and honest. So absolute transparency in your negotiations and where your money's coming from and when is it coming into the firm to make sure that you can make payroll or make that big marketing media buy, wherever you may be in your firm. So those are our 5 favorite features. These are just 5 of the reasons that CASEpeer is the highest rated case management software for personal injury firms. And I will tell you that you can go to our website and hear more from our clients, see case studies, and kind of see how firms are using it to maximize their firm. We've got some really great questions that came in, so I'll go through some of these. Yeah, you are able absolutely to, we do have a defendant report. There's a question here. Is it possible to filter cases by having a defendant search box? And or perhaps to filter by a specific insurance carrier. And yeah, in CASEpeer, I mean, we've only looked at actually really almost 2 reports here during this demo today, but we have an insurance company report where you can see all the different how many cases you have with each insurance and past performance. We also have a defendant report, so you can pull that up as well and see a history there. Some people have mentioned how challenges is working in different locations, lots of people working from home or not having contact with clients. That's such a wonderful call out. And we all hope that that gets better, because I think all of us, including myself, we all miss the face-to-face working with people, whether it's our team, if you're still working remotely, and certainly with clients where we like to be really cautious, especially with your injured clients. All right. So one thing that I'll call out, this is one of my favorite memes. I talk to hundreds, if not thousands of attorneys every year. And a lot of times, and I don't go in for the hard sell, I just want to know, hey, what's working for you? How's your firm? Talking with attorneys is my favorite thing to do, and paralegals and assistants, top to bottom. And I often ask, hey, how are things doing? Is what you're doing now working? And the answer I hear most is, it's fine. It's fine, right? And so the one thought I want to leave you all with is it though? Are things really fine, right? Maybe your firm is making money. I hope it is. It should be, especially if you're past the first critical 2 or 3 years, right? You may have very happy clients and you may have happy staff. But I'll tell you right now that CASEpeer will take your firm from fine to great. You know, I founded CASEpeer to help firms like yours grow and be successful, because ultimately when you succeed, your clients win big. And that's what we're all here for, right? So thank you again for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you all today. Thanks for tuning in and spending time. A quick reminder, we're going to have a couple more feature highlight series, so keep an eye out on those as we share on social media. Next one coming up in February will be our CASEpeer's top 5 features for automation. So I look forward to seeing you all there today. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon.